Okay, so we are live, I believe. Hangouts on air is going away for quick streaming. Interesting. Well, I think there's a new update there. But we are live. All right. Welcome everyone. Sorry we haven't been doing this more frequently, but life gets in the way, and we're here now. So for those of you tuning in for the first time, this is Daniel and my partner Ryan, who is the American in Taiwan. That's his YouTube channel. I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, hey everybody. Like Dan said, I'm Brian. I'm the American in Taiwan, and welcome to the AmeriTaiNadian podcast.
Right.
And yeah, this is episode 6. And like he said, I'm sorry that I'm sorry that we haven't been on more frequently, but life gets in the way. We're busy guys here.
Yeah. So I guess before today was more of a spontaneous, impromptu schedule, podcast episode. But why don't you tell everybody about the series that you're doing on your channel?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of decided just recently that I'm gonna put it on hold, but
Okay.
I've already done 5 episodes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's 5. Okay, so yeah, it's 5 episodes, and I titled it the Parade of Food. And basically, I just want to take different, what I would call Taiwanese foods, which is kind of a hard thing to pin down, but take Taiwanese foods and show them to the world. Tell people what I think about them. Tell them where they can get it, how much it costs, right? What does it taste like, and encourage them to go and find it and try it.
I'm eating a bit of Taiwanese food right now.
Yeah, what do you got there? What is that?
It's just egg rolls. I don't know if
Oh, danbing. Yeah.
is that.
Is it a danbing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks good, man. What's inside?
Oh, just eggs and the. Do you know the pork fluff?
I know what it is, but show everybody.
Well, I don't know if you can really see it. Let me try it. It's like.
Can you tell? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, it's the slightly brown. It's like pork fluff. I don't know how to.
Yeah. Well, my wife calls it rosong.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would too, but like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, even though today is more slightly of a casual episode, but.
Yeah, sorry everybody. We're just gonna kind of bullshit our way through.
Okay. So the Taiwanese friend that that you were talking about that you saw on my channel, we were just hanging out, and
oh, was she Taiwanese? I didn't even know that.
right, she was Taiwanese, and
okay, cool.
I think she was also born and raised here like me. We knew each other since we were like 10 from elementary school, and we were just hanging out, and we were talking about. I wanted to show her that Taiwanese Netflix series. I wouldn't really call it a series.
Is it a mini series?
It's not even a series. It's more like a bundle of independent films, but that they bundle together under one name. So you click on it and you have you get to choose which.
Okay, so it's like a collection of short films?
Yeah, except they're not short. They're pretty long, actually.
Oh, are they? So they're feature length, actually.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's called On Children. I don't know why they called it that. I think that's just another case of bad Taiwanese understanding of English grammar.
Yeah, there's always something lost in translation.
Yeah. I forgot. Let me see what it's called in Mandarin. It might be people better context.
So how many of these films have you watched?
I watched all of them. There's only 5 of them.
Oh, okay. So there's not very many.
No. But
were they good? Did you enjoy it?
They were interesting. I related to the first one the most, and I'll talk a little bit about it. But
yeah. What's the title? What's the plot?
Let's see if I can just. I think Just give me 1 second here, because the Mandarin title makes a lot more sense, obviously.
Okay, of course they always do, don't they?
Yeah. It's like
you should see when they translate like English titles into Mandarin. It also sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
And even my wife, who knows English pretty well, will look at me and she goes, "That's not the English title at all. They totally changed that."
I don't
She's
know
like,
who
why do they do that?
exactly. Like that's what I wonder all the time. But okay, so I guess I'll just quickly share my screen, and it's this one right here. So
Oh, okay, wonderful. I can see perfect.
so it says 你的孩子不是你的孩子, which translate to your
Your
child.
children are not your children?
Yeah, which it makes more sense if you actually watch the thing.
Okay, so what is the plot of the film?
So again, so there's 5 independent films that they're not like related, but they kind of have a similar theme to it. The one that I related to, which was the first one that you see, is basically about this Taiwanese kid who, he's a regular Taiwanese kid in middle school. Doesn't necessarily like his studies very much, just like every middle kid.
Oh my God, like every one of my students.
Like, yeah, okay, sure. And his mom is really strict. I think they got a divorce, but the father left, so the mother is raising him by herself. And you know how in Taiwan, after you graduate elementary school or middle school or high school, they have like a field trip at the end of the year?
Yeah, there's always this kind of like graduation trip that's
Yeah.
like a big deal, and the kids think it's really special and cool.
I think it's like over the course of like 2 or 3 days, right? It's not.
It's a pretty big deal. Like they can go pretty far,
Yeah,
like you could end up on the opposite, side of the island,
yeah, okay, yeah,
It's not like a short thing. Like it's not like they just go to the zoo or something.
yeah, yeah. So
It's a big deal.
yeah, I see. I didn't even know too much about that because I've always heard the term 毕业旅行, I guess, or yeah, I've always heard about it, but I didn't know that it was like I assumed it'd be like, oh, we're gonna take the day off and go to like you said, the zoo or something. But
Yeah, no, it's bigger than that.
yeah,
It's a much bigger deal.
right. So this kid is really excited for it, but his grades aren't that great. So and he's been caught, cheating on he. I think I don't know, in Taiwan, when you finish an exam, you have to like stamp a couple of things to confirm to make it legit by the teachers. They stamp after they stamp everybody's exam. And so this kid, I don't know how he got it, but he got the stamps at home so that he could stamp it himself, maybe to avoid letting his
Oh, okay. So
know.
he's gonna like fake it and try to get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. And he got caught, and he's fighting with his mom, and now the mom goes outside, goes for a smoke, and sees this ad about how, it goes like, "Is your child misbehaving? I have like a solution." Da 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 da.
Oh, okay. So it's one of those really like suggestive ads.
Yeah, and the guy who's in the ad walks up from behind the mom and goes like, "Hey, can I bum a smoke?" And the mom's like, "Oh, wait a second, you're that guy."
Wow, that's creepy.
Yeah, really creepy. And basically the product that the company is selling is this remote control, which is the title of the first film. I think it's remote. I forgot what it was called. It's called Your Mother's Remote. That's what it's called.
Mother's remote. Okay.
Yeah. So I can quickly.
I can translate that in my mind. It sounds ridiculous though.
Yeah. So nope, that's not it. You see this one, Mother's Remote, right here.
I can't see the screen.
Oh, sorry. Let me just do that.
It's okay.
You see it now?
Okay, now I can see it. Okay,
So
mother's
Mother's
remote.
Remote, and you see
Got you.
this is the kid, and
Right. Okay.
and so what basically the remote does is she can basically, it's kind of like the movie Click with Adam Sandler. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So she basically rewinds the day every, just for the past like same day, she repeats it like 5 times and without telling the kid, and eventually the kid picks up on it, and basically the mom says, "I'm only going to let you live the next day after you start behaving and improve your studies."
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
That's
And
so creepy.
it gets
She's like making him live a Groundhog Day. Like every
exactly. I
single
didn't
day he
see that
wakes up and
movie.
it's a do-over.
Yeah, I didn't see that movie, but I heard about it. But that's basically the premise. Yeah, and It's harsh. It's like, and I related so much with this first film because
Just because of the way the mother speaks and controls and all that stuff,
exactly, and
or
she's very authoritarian, and you're not allowed to, it's just so controlling. Like my mom was exactly like that. Except I'll tell you this, even though this film is like trying to dramatize like the Asian parent with like this, technology,
Hmm,
I I feel like because they partnered with Netflix and they know that it would be on Netflix and it would be, on the international platform, that I feel like they watered it down a little bit
really? In what way?
in the sense that the mom never hit the kid, which I
Oh,
know
okay, yeah, dog. You know that if
that.
this is a real Taiwanese story, that kid's gonna get hit.
And by the way, like if you're gonna dramatize it, why aren't you hitting the kid?
I don't, well, because that, you know how it is these days in America and in the West. It's
Exactly.
everyone's so
That's what I'm saying.
sensitive, you
That's
know?
what I'm saying. So I think because they knew that, and also they didn't want the West to look at Taiwan and be like, "Oh, what a low
Yeah,
class."
barbarians, right?
Yeah,
They're hitting
exactly.
kids, you know.
Exactly. But I just noticed that, yeah, yeah, like that's not completely accurate. Like that kid
Oh,
would have gotten.
totally not. Are you
Yeah.
kidding? Like, come on, dude. Like, slippers, sticks,
Oh,
big wooden
whatever
spoons.
you
Kids
got.
are constantly getting hit here with anything in reach, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I actually wanted to ask you about that because, again, I was born and raised here. I didn't spend that much time in Taiwan. I and we can go into another story about how I almost got taken away by child services in Canada.
Ooh,
But
that's intense.
yeah, you know, somehow my first grade teacher found out that I got hit. Maybe I feel like my suspicion is that the teacher might have heard me talk about it with other kids about like, hey, do you get beat by at home, or like just comparing notes, so to speak, or whatever. And like one time I was in the computer lab and my first grade teacher was like, hey, Daniel, come here. There's somebody that wants to talk to you. And I thought it had to do with something like something special, like I'm getting a treat or something. Like I don't know. I was in first grade. I didn't know any better.
Right, right.
And so my teacher basically walked me to like the corner of the school, the corner of a school where like I've never been to before. There was like a hallway and like whatever
Uh-huh.
in the corner of the school. There was a room. I walked in. There was a adult lady with a clipboard on a chair waiting for me.
So what, she was like a counselor or a psychologist or
No,
something?
she worked for childhood services, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So she started asking me about my home life and like, oh, what are your parents like? What are the dynamics like at home? And then eventually it slowly got to the question of, do they ever hit you? And I was like, oh, interesting. And this is me sitting down there like, where is this coming from? Like, what is this so random? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea why you picked me. Like, what's going on? And they were like, yeah, so, yeah, do they hit you? How often do they hit you? Why do they hit you? Where do they hit you? And all these things. And all I was thinking was, oh, interesting. Because I could tell that she was kind of concerned a little bit. She wasn't showing it, but I could kind of tell that like white people don't approve of this. I
There
already
was a vibe.
Yeah. And so what I was thinking was, okay, this is great. This is what's going to happen is they're just going to tell my parents to stop it. This is not what we do in Canada, and that's all what that is going to happen. So I was like, oh yeah. So I was very cooperative. I was like, yeah. Sometimes they hit me, and sometimes they hit me on the leg. Sometimes they hit me on the butt, and then that I was really happy. Like, oh, all that's going to happen is they're going to tell my parents to not do it this way, not parent your child this way, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so my parents were working at the restaurant. They got a call. My mom picked up the phone, and basically with her limited English, she still understood that they said, we're going to take your child away. We heard what you're doing to
Oh,
your kid.
wow.
We're going to take your child away.
They just said it like that?
Well, my mom just understood and she freaked out, right? And she,
Yeah,
she
of
ran,
course.
she ran to the kitchen and was like, they're going to take our kid away. Da, 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 da. And so back then, every day after school, uh, me and my sister would walk to my babysitter's house. And, or I think maybe back then, I can't remember exactly what happened that day, but I think what I was told was my babysitter like knew what was happening and was preventing me from going home because that's where the cops went. And
Okay.
so basically, I think I stayed at my babysitter's house while the cops talked to my parents, and they were like, my mom was freaking out, and my dad was basically like, he pointed to like this mountain of toys that we had, kind of like what your room looks like right now, and we had all these like piano and violin trophies that me and my sister had, and my
Okay.
dad basically was like, "Hey, if we are these monsters that you think we are, why? Like, how do you explain this, right?"
Yeah, right. Like, what's all this stuff doing here?
Yeah. And basically, my dad was like, "So, okay, this is our culture. Like, this is just what we do. How do you parent your children?"
Uh-huh.
And they were like, "We give them timeouts. We give them we say, oh, no more television for the rest of the night. We do things like that." And I think they gave my parents like a book to read about like how the West parents their children. We do not
Okay.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I never even like heard of such a thing. That's weird.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's interesting, but yeah. So I'm just curious. Like, I was born and raised here. That's my understanding. Like, I don't know to this day. I don't know exactly why I was picked to go into that room. Maybe they just overheard a conversation, but to this day, I don't know if what my treatment was is considered what the average Taiwanese kid got, or if I was a slightly below average, above average in terms of how harshly that I got beat. From my perspective, it was fine. Like, it wasn't that bad. I didn't actually get hit a lot, to be honest. It was just,
Okay.
yeah. Um, I to be honest, like I felt like fine. Like it wasn't bad at all. Like, other than my mom sometimes when she loses her temper, but it was like very rare that it happened. So I was curious, like, now it's 2019. I don't know if they're still doing that in Taiwan or if they still like, because my dad told me back when he grew up in the dictatorship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Teachers beat their kids. Teachers
Oh,
beat
dude,
their
it
kids.
was a like we've spoken so many times, but like I said, it was a different world back then. It
Yeah,
was so different. Like their mindset, like growing up in that like authoritarian times
yeah,
was completely different. Like nowadays we're very careful and we're very sensitive and we have to talk about feelings and whatnot.
yeah,
There was none of that. There was none of that. And you can see if you talk to people in that generation, like if you talk to like my mother-in-law or my father-in-law, or you talk to your parents, you can see that they're in a different world, right? Like they operate in a different way,
yeah.
you
The way
know?
my dad described it was, the teachers during school time and maybe even sometimes, in the jurisdiction of education, they have authority over the students in a sense that even the parents kind of have to like not bow down, but like whenever they go to school and the teacher will like talk to the parent about their kid and the parent will be like, okay, okay, understand. Okay. It's not like today where it's like the parent has a higher sort of standing and like, oh, what are you doing to my kid?
Oh yeah, no, like I'll tell you what, like these days, it's it's totally flipped. Like the parents have all the power.
Yeah. Before it
Like
was
they pretty much have all the power.
right. And before the teacher was like, had like, the parents had to like respect the teachers, so to speak, right?
Yeah, it's been
So,
flipped.
right. So I'm just curious, like, I don't even know how normal, like, I'm sure I know for a fact like they still hit kids in Taiwan, but like I know they don't do
Oh,
it in
certainly.
school. I don't know they don't
Yeah,
do
okay, so in school, like the rules, there's no corporal punishment like in the way that like they can't put their hands on you.
yeah,
A teacher cannot like physically like beat you or like take a stick and beat you or take a belt and beat you. Like you can't do that. It's totally been banned,
yeah,
right? There's no sort of thing like that.
yeah,
Now they can dole out a punishment, but like it's not going to get physical,
yeah.
right?
I would actually argue that Taiwan is one of the more progressive Asian countries in this regard. Like,
Hey, it might be. I mean, you're talking about a really big region, and
yeah,
you some of these countries are really third world. So,
yeah, exactly. That's just thinking. So maybe that's just my feeling of it. Um, But so yeah, we know that teachers at schools aren't allowed to hit their kids anymore, but parents, what do you sense that
Oh,
your school?
parents still hit their kids all
Okay,
the time,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But there's a range, right? Like everyone's different. Everyone's like an individual, right? So some parents are more lenient and some parents are much more strict, right?
yeah,
And some parents are like letting their kids get away with murder and treating them like little kings and little
yeah,
queens, right? Or a little emperor.
yeah.
And then on the flip side, like you have some parents that will just they'll flip out and they'll beat the shit out of the kid because he got like a 95 and he'll be screaming at the kid like, where's the other 5%? Like, how dare you?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, like losing their minds on some crazy shit like that, you know.
yeah.
So there's a range, and I've seen some unpleasant things, man. Like I've seen kids get beat by their parents in public in front of everyone, and it's horrible and it's embarrassing
Yeah.
and it's super awkward. And
Because you can't say anything.
no, see, like there's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah,
Because the like culturally it's really taboo, right, to get involved in that and try to mess with that.
yeah.
And like by the police kind of go with that as well. Like even if you called the police, they're gonna want to do nothing about that.
Because it's your kids, and you get to parent the way you want to parent, and yeah,
Yeah, there's just this huge cultural stigma. Like just don't get involved in family squabbles, right? It doesn't involve you. Mind your own business,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
I remember in 2015 when I visited Taiwan for a couple of weeks. I was with my family. I think they were getting me like a temporary cell phone plan. And we were at this shop, and there was another group of customers beside us, and it was a mom and their kid. And the mom was just ripping on the employee, just like yelling at the employee, like just like, "Oh, what are you doing? Oh, you can't like what is
Like
this?"
super rude, like just screaming.
Super hard. Rude doesn't is an understatement. It was like vicious, ruthless, just attacks on the employee, right? And in the West, what would happen? I'm being born and raised here. The employee wouldn't tolerate that. They would go, okay, if you don't behave, I'm gonna have to call security or the cops or whatnot, right? Or I'm gonna or the boss comes here and says, ma'am, I understand, but if you don't, I'm gonna need you to calm down. If you don't calm down, I'm gonna call security or the cops, whatever. And even sometimes in the West, other people, strangers, other customers will be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, can you? He's just doing his job, whatnot, right?" But the dynamic in Taiwan in that shop, I was with my family and I was looking to see like if they would react, and they were just completely like, they they were just completely acting as if nothing was going on.
Yeah,
Just
ignore. That's the thing. Like ignore.
But it's interesting, like the employee dynamic is still pretty like the employee is really down there. Whereas I don't know
Oh
if
yeah, no, there's a big like hierarchy, right?
yeah,
Of power and status and all that bullshit, right?
yeah,
The I think the main kind of like philosophy still is like, the customer is always right. The customer is the king. You have to do
yeah,
what they say, right?
yeah.
Because
But
if
even
you piss them off, we'll lose the customer and then we'll lose money.
right, but even though like the customer always is always right is like an American or English saying. Even in America, American employees probably wouldn't tolerate that. They would be like if they were at a mall.
Yeah, it depends on how far it goes. I mean, my first job was in retail. Like I was a cashier at
Yeah,
like a big box store, right? And I got some shit, but it was never too serious. Like no one was ever like screaming at the top of their lungs or like slamming their fist on the table or something, right? It didn't get too bad. I think if it got to that point, I probably would have called my manager and been like, "You got to handle this guy because he's a nutcase,"
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see like that difference in dynamic because I haven't traveled much the past several years, so it was really interesting to see like a total different culture in that sense. But anyway, back to this
You
film.
know, most of those
Yeah,
people who do outrageous shit like that end up on the news here now.
yeah. I wonder if we left too early that the news people came. Nah,
You must have. The news is so it's so tabloid like
yeah,
here, you know. They'll take like small things that would never even make it on the news in the West, and they blow it into like a national scandal.
I
It's
know.
ridiculous.
Oh, so stupid. Yeah.
It is really stupid.
Yeah, my aunt actually gave we were just talking about like the media, which is the title of today's stream, which we'll get to. Talking about it was basically talking about how before in Taiwan, media was only owned by three companies, three channels, and they were kind of they had to be overwatched by the government, and now it's not so much that, it's more corporations, and it's just comparing how like the propaganda goes. One was from the government and back in the day, and now it's just who's sponsoring you, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, it's a different landscape nowadays for
Yeah.
sure.
But anyway, back to this. I wanted to show her these, Taiwanese. There's actually a good selection of Taiwanese material on Netflix. Not too much, but like a good number of like series and movies. And
So yeah, if I can, what well no, that might spoil it. I was gonna ask you what happens to the kid, like, and his mom's controlling him. Does he ever
uh,
like break out of it, or?
well, yeah, it's a huge spoiler, so I don't know if
Yeah, okay, all right, don't let it out then. I don't
yeah.
want to ruin it.
I don't know. I know you don't have Netflix, but if there's any way that you could like watch it, I don't know. But anyway, I'll let you figure that out. So we were looking at like we just typed in. I just typed in Taiwan or Taiwanese on the search engine on Netflix, and I came across this. I'll show you my screen here. One sec. So this Taiwanese girl is a
Which
very.
one? Jeez.
They're all the same one.
Oh, is it? It's
Yeah,
hard to tell because she's wearing different makeup and stuff.
yeah. Um, she's like one of like the most famous celebrities in Taiwan. She was like a celebrity since like the early
Her
2000s.
face is familiar.
Yeah, her name is Yang Chenling. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you, but
I definitely know her face. I've seen her plenty of times.
yeah, I think
Okay.
forgot how old she is, but I don't know, she's in the like mid 30s probably. And let me just Yang Chenling. Uh, yeah, Rainy Yang is her. Yeah, 35. And she was like in the industry in like the early 2000s. So basically grew up with her. Like I knew her when I was a kid.
Okay.
And so when I saw her, I was like, "Oh, what? She's on Netflix?" And this film here, Life Plan A and B. So I saw that. It's a series from 2016, and I think it's like 10 episodes, and like one episode is an hour and a half. I only saw the first episode. And what I wanted to talk to you about was, and I'll just stop that there. Um, Basically, the premise is they're a couple. One, the guy is an architect, and the girl works at a instant noodle company, and she wants to be a career woman. She doesn't want like a normal traditional gender role, traditional woman like, oh, you work kind of for fun or part-time, but your role is to be a mother and a good wife. She doesn't want that, right? So she looks at her company and her superior. Her superior could have been sent to overseas China to have a higher position and a higher salary, but because she got married, traditional gender roles, she had to forfeit that opportunity and just be a good wife and good mother. And so Rainey, which is the actor's name, she sees that and she's like, I don't want that for myself. And I think there came an opportunity where she could apply for a position in China to get a higher salary. And they were talking about how the salary in Taiwan was really low, and if she gets that position in China, it's three times her salary. And I noticed like they talked about how, oh, like going to Shanghai is like this great opportunity, right? And like you get to like experience it, you get to like learn a lot, you get to move up in your career, you get to make more money. And I only saw the first episode, but they eventually, when the guy agrees to go to Shanghai, he also decided for her, because if she goes to Shanghai, he wants to go to Shanghai. So he applied for a position being an architect. And when they both got the position, they were so excited. They kept on saying, "We're going to Shanghai. We're going to Shanghai. We're going to Shanghai." And I was like, interesting. Like, are Taiwanese people really that, like, is their view of going to China and working that positive? And it just got me to thinking, like, I wonder if there's any, like, Chinese involvement in writing the script or anything like that. I don't know. Like,
You'd have to look at who's involved, right? Like what
yeah,
the production company, where that originates from, who's funding the movie and everything, right?
yeah. I guess, yeah, I could do a little research. I don't know if I'd be able to, because
Anyway, if I can kind of comment on that in real life.
yeah, please.
So one of my coworkers right now is actually a person who went abroad, if you will, to mainland China, and she was working over there.
Hmm.
And she was there, I think she was there for either a year or a year and a half. And she hated it.
Oh,
And
yeah?
so she couldn't wait to come back, right?
Hmm.
Like we stayed in touch on Facebook
Yeah.
while she was away and she was doing this other job over there. And she was just miserable the whole time. She was homesick the whole time.
Hmm.
She couldn't wait to come back. Like she just couldn't wait, you know? And like we talked about it, and I think I remember her saying, like, yeah, I made more money, and that was definitely like a thing, but I wasn't happy at all. Like I couldn't wait to come back, you know. And nowadays, I think if I asked her about like, would you ever return to work in China? She'd be like, hell no.
Hmm. Interesting.
I mean, that's just one story. It's one individual, so it doesn't speak to
Yeah.
everyone's attitude, but that's her attitude. That's one experience.
Right.
And there's other people like her, right, who go over there for the promise of making big bucks, right? And they actually find out that they don't enjoy the lifestyle, right? They don't like the way they do things over there. They don't like the level of control. They
Hmm.
don't like that they can't do this or that they could do over here,
Hmm.
right? And so then they choose to leave or go somewhere else to like a third country, you know?
Yeah. My aunt had a pretty high position. I think it was like a supervisor, manager position where she was overseeing like something in China. And I think, yeah, she was making good money, but I think eventually she got laid off. I think there might have been some office politics and she came back to Taiwan.
Mm.
But so I asked two people that are living in Taiwan right now. One of them is my cousin, and I asked her, like, do Taiwanese people have the view that, oh, if you go to China, you're going to make more money, and maybe if, playing devil's advocate, if Taiwan unites with China, that maybe that would be better for Taiwan economically. I asked her if Taiwanese people have this view, and she said, well, she's very similar to us, politically, our views wise, in Taiwan.
Okay, so she's on one side, and it's
Mm.
probably the greener side, if I could say
Exactly.
that.
She's on the green side of my family, let's say. um, and she's like, yeah, no. Taiwanese people, there are a small number of people that will think that, and people who, you know, have a favorable view of communist China, and they'll want to unite with China, and they'll try to convince people with the economic promise. But she thinks that it's not necessary, not necessarily a big number of people, but
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't like look, young people, they value money, like everyone values money, right? But young people here, they grew up from like birth all the way until now. They grew up in this open, like democratic time. So they value that, right? Like that's part of their identity is like we get to make choices, right? We don't have to be told exactly what to do on every single little thing, right? We have like certain freedoms, we have certain things that are guaranteed and they won't be taken away. And they value that, right? They value that just as much as they value money, you know.
yeah,
Where I think some people in the older generation, like I think in my in-laws, like in their generation, the ones who can remember like the 1980s and remember like the 1970s, when the economy was really, really booming,
Yeah.
right? And Taiwan was quote unquote rich.
Yeah.
I think it's those people, like a certain number of those people who remember the boom times, who think maybe we can make Taiwan great again if we just vote for this guy, or if we just do this thing, or if we just, like finally do one country, two systems and unite with China. But that's a small number. Like, I think every time I've read something, or you've read something, or I've seen a poll, or you've seen a public poll, that it's always the same, right? Like status quo wins
Yeah.
massively, right? And then on one side, there's a tiny fringe wants to go this way and a tiny fringe that wants to go that way.
Right.
But mostly, like, the majority is in the middle. Like, just keep it the same, the way it is right now.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting okay. Number one, you said the young people now, they grew up with this open society.
Yeah, so they have different values, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's ingrained in them.
Right. But in the West, remember we talked about how, like, millennials today, they grew up in this, say, for example, America. Happy Independence Day, by the way. That was 2 days ago.
Cheers. Happy Canada Day.
Yeah, that was
recently as well.
We talked about how millennials in the West, they're beginning to take the First Amendment, for example, for granted. Even though they grew up in
free speech. Yeah.
Right. They grew up in the era where it's very open, but they're not taking it for granted. Why do you think the Taiwanese young millennials are not taking it for granted?
Well, because I mean, we're in a totally different situation. America is not under threat the way we're under threat over here, right?
Right.
Like, we have a metaphorical gun pointed at our heads at all times, right?
Yeah.
So Taiwanese people, I think, always have some kind of feeling of like of fear, or a feeling of like maybe just like insecure, like not totally comfortable, like something bad could happen, right? Like there's always this kind of like, I'm not sure, like I gotta be a little bit careful, and I don't think that's not the case in America. Like in America, I think we all just take it for granted, like, yeah, we're number one, no one's ever gonna fuck with us, like no one's coming over here, like, you know how it is. We run in a circle of people on Facebook that includes a lot of
those people,
interesting people with interesting political ideas, but people, how they think. Like, America will never be conquered. We're the land of freedom, home of the brave, and all that bullshit.
Most people like that, I feel like, not to generalize or stereotype or group, put anybody in a box, but I feel like they're generally kind of more on the right. Would you agree?
For what? Like, for the people you think who put more value on the idea of freedom of speech?
No, people who think that, oh, America's number one, nobody's gonna fuck with us.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. Like the American exceptionalism, like we're number one, we're amazing. Like, yeah.
But even I think people on the left, they subconsciously know that know that nobody's gonna threaten them militarily too. They subconsciously.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would consider myself as someone on the quote unquote American left, right? Like, it's hard to pin down exactly where, but yeah, on the left. But even I know in my head that, yeah, the likelihood of us ever being like, ground invaded and being occupied is like, it's never gonna happen, dude. We're not gonna live through Red Dawn. That's
I was just gonna say,
that's not real.
That's
a fiction. It's a fiction. It's a movie, right?
Yeah. Did you see that movie?
I saw the original one from the 1980s, and it's actually one of my favorite like cult classic films, right? But I didn't see the new one. I thought the premise was really stupid. Like North Koreans. I thought it was so dumb, dude. Like, because they're so unrealistic,
Is it unrealistic because North Korea can never have the ability to do something like that?
Exactly. North Korea they don't even have like toilets. They don't even have enough food to feed. There are people eat boiled grass in North Korea because there's not enough food.
Yeah.
I mean, what is their defense budget? Like $5? Like,
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
come on, you think they're gonna put together a force that could like cross the ocean and land troops over here? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
absurd. That's
I,
completely absurd. And another thing I want to add on top of that is
yeah.
one of my viewers, one of my longtime viewers, who's I think he disagree with me on like a lot of things politically because he's on the right,
Yeah.
but he made a really really good point. When we did our podcast on the movies, remember
Mhm.
when we did that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a really good point. He goes, like I was talking about 7 years in Tibet and how that couldn't be made these days. And he goes, well, what about Red Dawn? Like originally, the plot of that movie was for the People's Liberation Army to invade America and occupy America. And because of some like studio people or corporate pressure, right, relating to China, they changed the villain from being China, they changed the villain to North Korea.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Well, that
Originally, the villains were supposed to be Chinese. They were not supposed to be North Korean.
the remake?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
well, yeah, you know
Absolutely.
what? That's yeah, totally to be expected. They have so much power over Hollywood now, which is
Oh yeah, dude. All you have to do is buy stock in an American movie company,
right.
and you buy enough stock, and then you can control the company. Like you're not going to make that movie because I don't like it. You know.
How do you feel about China having such an influence on American entertainment or media?
Well, I think like we talked about in the movie podcast, I hate it. I don't want any kind of government messing with art. I don't want the CCP messing with art, and I don't want the American government messing with art either. I don't want any government telling an artist that they can't make a film. That's
Yeah.
bullshit. Like
Yeah.
free speech, dude. Like I thought that's what we're all about, you know?
Yeah. I feel so unsettled or uncomfortable like that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, like to think that they actually can have an influence on like America's entertainment because like
They do, they
Hollywood
already do.
they do yeah but it's like Hollywood's seen as like this global leader in cinema entertainment, right? And to think that like China, which is you know quote unquote the enemy and depending on how you want to talk about it.
Yeah, we got to be careful with
Yeah,
that.
we gotta be careful with it, but like it's like the our adversaries, let's say,
You know what? I think a better way, like a rival, not an
rival. Okay,
enemy.
there you
Like
go.
not like I want to like actively like fight you, but
Yeah,
like definitely we're rivals,
right.
right?
Let's say that better word. Yeah, I'll take that back. But that they have an influence on American cinema because American like media, they even though it's entertainment, even though it's like a popcorn film, that could still influence people's opinions one way or the other.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So it's like it's very unsettling for me to
Yeah, it's creepy when you think about it, right?
yeah,
Whether we like it or not, like movies have a big influence, right? Like
yeah,
TV shows have a big influence, you know? You're exporting your culture. That's the soft power, right?
yeah.
Like you're using that to project your ideas and your culture and your influence, you know?
Or you're influencing your rivals' entertainment.
Yeah,
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 that's
that's true.
insane. Imagine if just imagine putting that like hyper exaggerate that like if China owns all the stock of American entertainment companies, like how crazy would that be?
I
It's never gonna happen.
that would be bad. I would hope that would never happen. I would hope there would be someone else or some other country to balance it out.
Yeah. Ooh, anyway.
That would be really bad though.
Yeah. Jeez.
But yeah, that kind of stuff's already happened. There's been movies where they've purposely had like the hero or the group of heroes being aided by China, or they did a scene in a Chinese city where they were defeating the bad guys, right? So there's like this little hint of like, oh, look at that. China's like a good place. China's like a hero, or they're helping the hero, right?
Yes, there's actually a neat let's see if I can pull this up. There is a YouTube channel. I think the creator is Chinese, and when I say Chinese, I mean mainland Chinese. I think his channel is called Associated Cinema. No, let's see.
Is it movie reviews or what?
Let me just type this here. Chinese sword isn't popular. Okay, so it's called Accented Cinema, and I think the creator of the channel is Chinese, but he talks about Chinese cinema. Well, not just Chinese cinema, but that's just one of the things that he talks about. And I'll just quickly share the screen, not the video, but just what his channel looks like. So Accented Cinema, I think that's traditional Chinese, but I think he's from mainland China. He basically talks about, you know, American cinema, Chinese cinema, and how, like, for example, patriotism in Chinese cinema and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But he talks about how
Oh yeah.
he doesn't have, you know, propaganda. He just, you know, gives his opinion. He talks about how, for example, there's a video that says, you know, why is Chinese cinema so awful? You know, like, let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, why are no, that's Chinese sword, Asian, no, Morning Earth. Let's see. He only has these videos, but
Do you want to search within his channel?
I mean, all the videos are here, but I don't know
Oh,
why.
those are all of them? That's every single video?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay.
There's basically, I don't know why I can't see it, but there's a video that talks about how, like, why Chinese videos aren't great. Oh, okay, so here, why are modern Chinese movies so bad? Video essay. Okay, so he talks about how the modern Chinese movies of today, they are basically kind of copying the American movie format. Like, for example, you have Rocky, right? American movie, Rocky.
Yeah,
There's
Rocky Balboa, yeah.
there's one guy, one veteran or whatever, and he's able to take down an army. And
Wait,
China,
you mean Rocky or Rambo?
sorry, Rambo. Sorry, my bad. Rambo. And so, yeah, and so the China made a movie that is very similar. Like, there's a soldier, and
How could they do that though? China doesn't have any war veterans at this point, do they?
right. Oh, well, I guess a guy in the army currently, let's say.
Okay. All right. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then, you know, they'll I think there's a clip in his video where the actor that plays the soldier is being asked, like, "Oh, don't you think it's kind of fake that one soldier can take down an army?" And his response was, "Well, if Americans do it, why can't we?" Right? Like, American, you know, that was
Yeah, okay. Well, and to be fair, like you know, in Rambo, Rambo doesn't take out a whole army. I mean, he takes out large groups of people, but
yeah.
doesn't take out a whole army. Like,
Okay, yeah, not entirely. I mean, yeah, I guess I worded that wrong, but basically, what this channel or his video was talking about how is that they're they're basically kind of just copying American or Western movie formats, but just adding it, like making it Chinese or having a Chinese twist to it.
okay, so they're like making Chinese versions of American movies that already exist.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay,
And
that's interesting.
his critique is that China, and I'll just quickly share this, what this look like. This is his latest video with the Wandering Earth, how to tell a Chinese story. And his critique is basically telling China, you don't need to copy what the West is doing. Like, you have so much Chinese, like, cultural stuff that you can talk about. Like, you should.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories. I
A
mean,
lot of stories, yeah.
you have thousands of years to go from, you
Yeah.
know.
So you should that's basically what he was saying. Yeah. It's I'll link it to you. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah, I'll link it to you right now. But yeah, all right. Moving on to the next topic. Even though this is very, very, very far away, but, you know, we can still talk about it. The Taiwanese 2020 election. What are your thoughts so far on what's going on?
Well, we're not very far along, but there's been some developments.
Yeah.
So at the moment, just on the DPP side, there was a primary, right? And so that was between basically the current incumbent president, right? So President Tai. And then there was, geez, what's his name? It's escaping me right now.
William Lai.
Yeah, right. That's right. Lai Ching-te. He was the premier.
Yeah.
Formerly premier. He had resigned. Anyway, so they had their primary, and Tsai came out to be the victor. The way they determine that here in Taiwan is not the way we do primaries in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Because in America, like, we literally voted out, like the people
Yeah.
of the country voted out, and it's decided that way. But the way they do it here, it seems, is that they do it by like a poll, and they do it by like a telephone poll.
Oh,
So they
really?
tell everybody, like, okay, so we're gonna do the poll on this day. So sit next to your telephone, because if we call, then you want to give your opinion, you want to influence the poll, right?
I thought that it was determined within the party, within the politicians within the party.
Right. So, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. The party is like hiring out a company or whatever to conduct the poll,
Right.
and then they take the poll result, and that's how the party decides.
Okay, so it was not as bad as I thought, because I thought that.
It's not totally undemocratic. Like, they
Yeah.
don't. It's not just like a group of like 4 or 5 people sitting in a room, and they're like, okay, so who's it gonna be? Who do we like? You know,
Yeah.
they actually do take the public opinion into account.
Yeah. Well, guess what? They don't do that in Canada.
Not
Like,
at all.
not well. Okay, you vote for the party. You don't get to vote for the individual. So
Right. I know that. That's because of the parliamentary system.
yeah, exactly. So you don't. The party within itself, they determine who they want to be the party leader. Well,
Okay.
actually, you know what? I might be wrong on that. I think you do also have primaries, but it's just not in the like federal election format where you determine that you have the primary and then you have the federal election right after that. I think it's like it's kind of like the midterm elections, and that is one of the elections. It's just that
Okay.
nobody really talks about it that
No
much.
one pays attention very much.
Yeah, so that's
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So I guess yeah. I guess I was wrong on that. Yeah, but
All
yeah.
right.
So
So yeah, that's where the DPP is, and
yeah.
then the KMT is getting interesting. So
I saw a video. My professor, or my not professor, my aunt, who is a professor in Taiwan, she sent me a video, another YouTube channel. I think it's basically independent news media on YouTube. So it's actually pretty good, but they did a very brief summary of the KMT candidates, and I think there's like five.
there's 4 or 5, but honestly, really, there's only 2 of them that are actually going to go forward, I think.
And which two are those?
Okay, so obviously, Mr. Korea Fish, Mr. Han Guoyu, right?
Yeah,
So he's the one, and then on the other one that I think would be probably Terry Go, who
yeah,
is the head of Foxconn.
yeah. So if you see
Okay,
here,
so you can see them there. All
yeah,
right, so in that blue shirt right there, in the blue collared shirt,
yeah,
that's Han Guoyu. All right, and then over there, if you go over, yeah, to the red tie, that's Terry Go, the head of Foxconn. Okay,
yeah,
go over a little bit more. Okay, and then I think that's Eric Chu, and he used to be the mayor of New Taipei City.
yeah. And I don't know the rest of the
And
people.
then the rest of them, I should know this because I've been listening to a pretty good program by a couple of guys who follow politics here really, really closely, and they put out a show weekly. But I think that might be what's it, Udani, and the other ones. I don't know, man. Their names are just escaping me right now.
Yeah, I don't know them, but I just noticed like Hanguoyu, which is a pun for Korea fish.
Yeah, that's his internet nickname here among many people is Mr. Korea Fish.
Among English speaking people.
No, dude, no. Actually, the first time I saw people doing the emojis with the Korea fish was
Oh,
was
really?
from Taiwanese people on Facebook.
Okay.
It wasn't like foreigners.
I just noticed just looking at this.
It's not only Americans who can do puns.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Taiwanese people can do puns too.
Yeah. Yeah. I
They
know.
can do comedy too, Daniel.
I know, but I just yeah. Okay, fair enough. But I just noticed in this picture, he's the only one not wearing a suit.
Yeah, that's because he tries to put off this kind of image
That he's
of kind of the way Trump does. Like, Trump is like a
populist.
Trump is like if you gave a redneck $1 million, right?
Okay, sure.
Right? He's like, yeah, I'm just like a regular guy. I'm a blue collar guy. I like to eat hamburgers and French fries. And if somebody cooks me a really fancy steak, I put ketchup on it.
Jesus.
You know
But
what I mean? Like,
but
so
Trump
like,
Trump still wears the
I
suit.
think Han Guoyu is like trying to be like that. But he's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just a normal older Taiwanese guy. You know,
yeah. And
I like my relaxed style with my shirt like this, and I say what I'm thinking. I don't try to make my words very carefully crafted. You know.
yeah. There's a clip. Well, I mean, first of all, I think it kind of works. I mean, I noticed it, and it does kind of, just without knowing everybody else, it does give off the impression of, oh, he's not like a career politician, that even though he is a career politician.
Yeah, he actually does have a long history. So if anybody thinks that he's this like outsider, that's not true. So
I'm just this isn't this won't be this is just a very funny clip. Don't worry, we won't get copyrighted for this because it's just the news. But
okay, because every time you go to play a clip, I'm like, be careful.
yeah, it's on. It's on my channel, so I'll take the fall anyway. So, but let's see here.
Okay, so we have Han Guoyu, and he's at a rally.
Do you hear it?
A little bit.
It's so funny. So funny.
That's pretty funny.
Do you hear that? Do you see that? Do you hear that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard it.
Over my dead body. That was hilarious when I first saw that. Oh,
There was a really funny one recently of I think he's a comedian, and if he's not a comedian, he's just like this guy who's like internet famous here.
yeah.
But there was this lady who was down at like a Hangul Yu event, like down south somewhere, and she's like this older lady, like close to my mother-in-law's age, and she was like holding I think she was like holding a cell phone, and I think she was holding a flag, and she was like freaking out. She's like, Hangul Yu, Hangul Yu, Hangul Yu, and
Yeah.
she's like spazzing out, and she's just like, oh, and
Oh.
this young guy did like a total parody of her where he's doing the same thing. He's like holding the flag and he's like spazzing out and he's like, how go you? How go you? How go you? Oh,
Can you send me that? I want to see that.
oh, it was so funny. Like I don't damn, I don't know the guy's name, but if you know what, if I ask my wife though, like she can tell me and I'll get it. I'll send it to you. It's so funny, dude.
Yeah.
They played it the other day on the news and I was like, oh my god, dude, I was laughing my ass off. Like it was so funny. Cause it was just ridiculous. Like, why are you spazzing out? Like I feel like everyone like under that age, like everyone from like the millennials to the Generation X was looking at this old lady like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Calm down. He's just a regular human being. He's not like a superhero, okay?
Yeah.
Like even if you like him, you don't have to like spaz out like ah.
Yeah.
You don't see anybody doing that for President Tsai. They're not like Taiwan, Taiwan, ah, like
Yeah.
that's not a thing. It doesn't happen.
Would you say that is because, you know, people that are fans of Korea fish over here are more?
I love that you're calling him that now.
It's just easier. It's just, you know, yeah,
It is easier.
just to keep it in English, you know. Um, do you think it's because his followers are more like they're maybe more blind faith following his ideology of, oh, like just
Well,
blind
they're
faith?
definitely older, and I think the
Yeah.
older people have a less. This is going to sound really, really bad, but they have a less sophisticated view,
Mm.
right? Like I know that sounds like a little bit like
Ageist?
yeah, okay, ageist, right? Like prejudiced or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they're old, so they're stupid and they don't know anything. But like, I mean, like we were saying earlier, they did grow up in this environment where they didn't really question things.
Yeah.
They didn't really look too deeply. Like the details weren't that important, you know? It was just like, you know, does this make me feel good? All right, well, if it makes me feel good, then I guess it's good, right?
There's less critical thinking involved and
I
less.
think so. I know that sounds bad, but I don't think
No,
they're analytical thinkers. Like,
well, no, they're used to like authority, and they're used to their authority going, this is what it is, and this is the status quo. This is what, you know, the consensus is. And I feel like people that really like the lady that you're talking about that went crazy over Korea fish.
I really want you to see that. I want you to do a reaction video.
Sure. If you
Please do. Please do a reaction
if
video.
you send it to me, I might do that. Yeah.
It's not long, I swear. It's only like 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah.
Do that. Do it. Please do it. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
You gotta send it to me though. But anyway.
I will. I promise. I swear.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, like I think first of all, there might be some kind of loyalty, patriotism to the Republic of China. If you
Yeah,
know what I mean.
ROC patriotism.
ROC, yeah. And what my cousins were telling me is that older people generally watch the, traditional mainstream media, which
yeah, dude, they watch CTI, they watch TVBS, they watch all these ones, and a lot of those medias here, like the mainstream TV news, is really, really blue. They're hard blue, and they get a lot of foreign money that's coming in through various different channels, right?
Yeah.
And so they put a narrative, they put a certain way of thinking,
Yeah. And I think I guess they're just used to having that, like, it's not state media, but just like not necessarily.
Well, it used to be.
Right, but not necessarily questioning and critiquing the media. So
yeah, well, because back in the day, if you asked too many questions, then well, you know what would happen.
Yeah.
If you make kind of like too much of an issue out of something like that in the old days, they'll just come and take you away in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I mean this was in the 40s, 50s.
What, taking people away in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Oh, they would take you away in the middle of the night from the 40s all the way till the 1980s.
Interesting.
We had a whole family here who was like murdered.
Yeah.
In the 1980s.
A family? Like, what do you mean?
There was a family here who was they were in their house. It was like a kind of like a house arrest kind of a situation. And the house was being guarded like 24/7 by the police. But somehow some guy managed to get into the house and murder everybody. They murdered the daughter, I think they murdered the wife and the daughter, and yeah, the father was out, I think.
Wait,
but the father was working as like a dissident, like he was in what they would call the outside the party movement, right? At that time. And so basically his family was murdered.
When was this?
I think it was in the 80s. I'm pretty sure it was in the 80s.
Interesting. Okay.
And if it wasn't the 80s, then it was the 70s. Like like these kind of things that sound really, really brutal and strict and authoritarian went a lot longer than I think most people think. And it was a lot more bloody and gross than most people think. Like there's another like kind of situation like that, just to like prove how crazy and brutal it could be. Did you know that I think it was Daly City, which is outside of San Francisco, there was like a Taiwanese writer or a journalist, somebody like that. And the KMT, through one of the triads here, there's a lot of triads like gangsters here in Taiwan. Like through their connections with these gangsters, they had a gangster go to America and do a hit job on this guy, and they assassinated him on American soil.
My dad actually told me about this. Wait, so
yeah, so you know about it?
Just the headline. So he was rebelling against the KMT?
Yeah, I think you can Wikipedia it. I think his name was Henry. I think it was Henry Leo or something.
Let's see.
I think I'm a little bit fuzzy, but for sure he was either a journalist or a writer or something, and he was assassinated by gangsters hired by the KMT. Like it's not even a question at this point.
Whoa, wait. I think I have. There's a CIA document about it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll show you here.
That was a big scandal at the time, I'm sure.
So, is this okay? Approved for release 2010. So when did this happen? When did he die?
Is it Henry? Oh, I got it. Oh, my memory is so good.
Yeah. 1984.
1984. See, all this stuff was still going on, man.
So how old was my dad? My dad would have been 20 years old. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah.
Does it say
So,
who did the hit?
let's see his assassination. On 15 October 1984, Liu was shot to death in the garage of his home in Daly City,
Yeah,
California.
Daly City.
Daly City, California, shortly after 9 a.m. Helen Liu, Henry's wife, had noticed two Asian men riding bicycles near their house that morning and the morning before. She heard loud noises in the garage and discovered her husband had been killed. The assassination had been planned by Chen Chi Li. I don't know who that is. Oh, okay, leader of the Bamboo Union Triad, and
Yeah, they're huge. There's still a big triad here.
around by two Bamboo Union members, Wu Tun and Teng Kui Sun. Chen was acting on the request of the head of Taiwan's Military Intelligence Bureau, Vice Admiral Wang Siling, I think, who had requested that Liu be given a lesson after writing articles critical of the Taiwan government. Wu and Teng cornered Liu in his garage, and the three men struggled. After Wu shot Liu in the head and shot twice in the trunk. Wait, shot Liu twice in the trunk. What does trunk mean in this?
I don't. Can you make the screen a little bit bigger? I can't really see it.
Here. So, three struggled, ending after Wu shot Liu in the head and Teng shot Liu twice in the trunk.
I don't know what that means. Maybe they mean in the stomach?
Okay, maybe like that.
I'm not sure.
The somewhat gossipy biography of Zhang Jinggu delved into the background of Chiang Kai-shek's mother too deeply, while others suggested he was about to publish some works harmful to governmental officials. Police ruled out robbery early in the investigation, and a Taiwanese spoken denied government involvement.
There you go, dude. There you
I
go.
wonder what the CIA is
All the way to the 1980s, man.
I've never read anything by the CIA, so this is interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot there. So, I mean, maybe after the podcast, you can dive deep.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, jeez. Yeah. Okay. So, are there any members running within the KMT that maybe not necessarily you like, but you think are the least harmful?
The least harmful. That's a good question.
You know,
Okay, so I totally don't trust Korea Fish.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, just the way he operates and the way he's already taken so many meetings with, CCP officials in mainland China and in Hong Kong and Macau.
Yeah.
Like, I don't trust him at all. Terry Go, the head of Foxconn, also don't trust him. He has way too many business ties in China. He doesn't want to burn those bridges. He's not going to do anything to like upset them. So I guess maybe do the least damage. Maybe Eric Chu. Maybe.
Okay. And why not the other three?
I mean, I would comment on them, but like I said earlier, my memory's bad and I forgot their names.
Right.
So, but look, we have a lot of time, and as time goes on, like this primary is going to be sorted out, and we'll get a better idea of who's actually going to win this thing.
Yeah.
It's still really early on.
This video, very very briefly, kind of just talks about the candidates. So this guy, I don't know who he is, but he said something genuinely, but is actually kind of funny when he's saying it so seriously. So I'll just quickly play it here. So yeah. So he says, I want to use the Taiwanese culture.
That's funny.
When normally people use these two words, 统一, which means to conquer and unify, so to speak. Everybody's talking about mainland China conquering Taiwan, but he's saying here, we're going to use the Taiwanese KMT culture to conquer and unify China, mainland China.
Yeah, that's not realistic.
Like what?
That's completely unrealistic. Like, honestly, dude, like these people who think like, oh yeah, we're gonna totally change China with culture and soft power. That's not true. That didn't happen. Like a lot of Westerners thought we could change China by giving them McDonald's and blue jeans and the internet, and it didn't change them at all. They just became more authoritarian.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
you don't change China, China changes you. Like that's kind of how it goes. Like that's
Yeah.
what history has shown us, you know, like you don't mess with them. They run their own shit. They decide where they're going. You don't decide, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. 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 Well, when do you know when the I know 2020, but like in America it's 2020 November. I think it's January in Taiwan, right?
Yeah, they hold it really really early.
Yeah.
Really really early in the year.
Because I remember my mom used to take us back to Taiwan every election so she could vote, but that was during spring break. So maybe they changed it over the years.
Yeah, things have changed as well. Like the way we have it now, where we have the midterm, right? Where we have the 9-in-1 elections, you know, that I made all those videos on.
Yeah.
They used to not have that style either. It used to be different, right? They would go at different times.
Yeah.
So they've been reforming it like over the years about how they do things.
Yeah.
And they reformed the way they did referendums too.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Well, are you how do you are you just cautiously optimistic about it or
I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just sitting back and I'm along for the ride right now. I'm just kind of looking and watching, you know. I don't know what's gonna happen. There's so many things that could happen, you know, like a scandal could break out, and that could damage somebody. You know, Xi Jinping could make a speech, and that could have an influence. All this stuff that's been happening in Hong Kong has had a big influence. That's
yeah.
been really helpful to the green side because people have seen that and they go, you see what's going to happen if we get too close, right? Like you talk about you want to do business and you want to have cultural exchange, but this is what happens when you get too close to them, right? It gets dangerous, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
All this
interesting
Hong Kong stuff, right?
that yeah, I was just gonna say like, you know how like the term fake news is like a meme now? I've heard people in Taiwan call it say the same thing, but I think they say like 假新闻. I guess it's just a direct translation. I wonder if
Of
they
fake
got
news, yeah.
yeah, I wonder if they got that from Trump.
They probably did, dude. Trump.
Mm.
I mean, there's always been fake news. That's not like a
Yeah,
new
of
thing. But
course. Yeah,
like the idea of like
calling
just
that out.
being honest and like calling it out and being like, no, fake news.
Yeah.
Like that's Trump. That's totally Trump right there.
I wonder
Even the thing I just did where he goes like that, he's like, "You're fake news," right?
yeah,
Like that's what he does. He does the thing. He does like a little like a
you're fake
striking cobra. He's like, "You're fake news," right?
That's
Like,
hilarious, yeah.
he does. You've
I
seen
mean
it.
yeah, yeah,
There's gifs of him doing it where he's
yeah.
like,
Oh, man, I mean, in America, obviously, that's seen as bad, but in the Taiwanese context, it's kinda true, right?
there's fake news all over the place.
Yeah.
It's all over the
Well, I
like
mean
I remember when this was so long ago, but do you remember when I sent you that article about the company that got in trouble because they were talking about Hanguo Yu had like a cloud in the shape of a phoenix bird overhead and it was a positive omen,
oh,
right?
yeah,
and
sure.
it and they were like, you can't just like say things and get away with it.
Yeah,
We're not just gonna let you do that.
yeah,
You
well
can't like talk about these mythical things. Like you actually have to tell the truth.
yeah. Well, yeah, I just meant, like, in America, like, when Trump says fake news, that's considered, like, a bad thing, like, "Oh, you're disrespecting the press," right? But in the Taiwanese context,
Not always. Sometimes what you know what, dude? This is gonna shock some people, but sometimes when Trump says fake news, Trump is right.
yeah, I don't disagree there. I'm like, maybe 1 out of
Sometimes there's fake
15.
news. They do fake news sometimes.
Yeah. And what okay, so do you think that it's the same as Taiwan where it's a result of who's sponsoring the mainstream media?
Probably, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, they have interests. They definitely have interests, and they're definitely promoting them.
Yeah. 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 I was just gonna say, like the 2016 American elections, fake news was a meme, and the Russia meddling with our elections was also kind of kind of a meme. And
Yeah, definitely. There were so many memes out of that election. Goodness gracious.
in Taiwan now is going to be China is meddling with our elections.
Yeah, well, they already do. I mean, it's just obvious. We just had that big rally with Jim Boss,
Oh, yeah,
right?
boss. Yeah.
Mr. Jim Boss teamed up with the guy who's from the New Power Party, and they had their big anti-red media rally in Taipei.
Yeah.
So,
I'll just very quickly show an image of that.
oh, do you want to talk about Jim Boss and how he might do the MMA match with what's his face?
Oh yeah, please tell us about it while I search this up.
No, yeah, I want you to introduce it. Because you brought it up to me, didn't you, or did I bring it up?
It was you who sent me the
It was
article.
me.
Yeah.
Which one did you bring up with Jim Boss?
Um.
Was that the one where he kicks the teenager's ass?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, which sounds really bad when I say it.
Yeah.
Where he kicked the teenager's ass.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't know, there's this guy in Taiwan who's kind of internet famous, and he's like a really big buffed out guy. He's like a bodybuilder, MMA guy, and he goes by the moniker of the Gym Boss.
Yeah.
And he has a YouTube channel and is very, very popular. And anyway, he's gotten to the point where he can talk to just about anybody. Like, he's had interviews with the president, Tsai Ing-wen, right? They've sat down and talked. I think he talked to Han Guoyu, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he do that?
Yep.
He talked to him. I think recently he talked to Terry Go. So he can talk to anybody at this point. Like, he's that famous, right?
He's talked to like the main runners for the candidates for the 2020 election.
Right. So he's almost like the Joe Rogan of Taiwan, right?
Except, yeah, Joe Rogan's got Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard. So I was gonna say, yeah, but yeah,
It's similar. He's kind of like the Taiwanese Joe Rogan, kind of, right?
Yeah.
In a number of ways. But anyway, so he got into a kind of I don't know, what do you call it? Like an argument or a spat?
Yeah, like an online feud.
Yeah, there's some online drama or something. Anyway, so some mainland Chinese guy was calling him out, like saying, "Oh, you're pro-Taiwanese independence," which, by the way, I don't think Jim Boss technically is. I think he's probably pro-status quo.
Pretty much, yeah.
So that's like a ridiculous claim to make. And just everything this guy said was kind of BS. But anyway, what ended up happening was there was a challenge put out like, "Hey, man, if you want to fight, let's fight."
Yeah.
And so maybe in the future, what we're looking at is maybe Jim Boss is going to have an MMA match with this guy from China who is apparently, he's like a champion in Muay Thai or something like that.
Boxing or something like that, yeah.
Kickboxing or like Thai Muay Thai or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But
no idea.
Yeah, I think so. You sent me an article and I can just quickly show that. So Jim Boss is 40 years old and this other guy is 30 years old. So, but Jim Boss is like 250 pounds.
Yeah, dude, Jim Boss is totally buffed out.
Yeah, whereas the other guy, I think, might be like, I don't know. I can't remember how heavy he is, but
he's a lot lighter. You can just tell by his face.
Yeah, I think might be. I think they did it with kilograms. So Jim Boss, I think, was 115 kilograms, and I think the other guy was 70 something.
Oh God, yeah, they're not even close to being in the same weight class,
as far as I remember. But yeah, it's I don't know if that is still happening.
Yeah, who knows if the fight will actually go down. It might be just a situation where they're like, "Look, let's just talk it out," you know.
Yeah. I would love to see the fight.
Me too. I was just about to say that. I was like, God damn it. Like, I know it sounds bad. Like, I'm a bad person, but I want to see these guys fight. I do.
Yeah.
I'm a bad dude. I know I'm a bad dude. People shouldn't be fighting, but I want to see them fight. Like, I do.
It's a sport. It's a sport. It's all good.
But there's so much identity and politics wrapped up in it. Like, you know what's going to happen. Like, it's basically going to turn into a Jim Boss is going to be the symbol of all of Taiwan. Yeah. And this other guy is going to be the symbol of all of China, and it's going to be people being like basically Taiwan versus China.
Yeah, some of Western media might actually even cover it. That ended up.
If it goes ahead, yeah.
Yeah. But the
So,
guy with the ponytail is, look at that. He just grabs the.
God, dude, he's a beast. Look at him. He's a beast.
So the big guy is Jim Boss, who's the Taiwanese guy who's being challenged by the Chinese.
Yeah, the guy who's kicking ass right now is Jim
Yeah.
Boss.
He's
Like,
just
he's
crazy.
a beast, dude. He's like a freaking beast. Look at him.
You see how he just kicks him out of there? Did you see that?
Yeah, you know what really impressed me from that clip that you had sent me was the way that Jim Boss can roll. Was the way that he can like it's his wrestling ability. Like when they get down onto the mat, right? And
Yeah.
like he's putting them in a lock and they're rolling and they're flipping, right? And they're like getting in and out and they're doing like combinations of moves and stuff. Like that impressed me. Like it reminded me a lot of my high school wrestling days, you know?
Oh, you wrestled in high school?
Yeah, yeah. I like remember, well, it was a while back, but we talked about like sports and stuff, like just personally.
Yeah.
And yeah, for a couple of years in high school, I was on the wrestling team.
Yeah, nice.
So it reminded me of that because that's what they teach you, right? Is they teach you all these moves, these combinations, like how to get out of something, how to counter, how to turn something to your advantage, right? You
Yeah.
know, it's just like that. It's all down on the mat like that, right? Like when they're up like this and they're kind of like boxing or kicking, that's foreign to me. But like the wrestling stuff down here, I recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting if it happens. There's the game.
Like, come on, dude, we gotta get to it. Like, who do you think is gonna win?
Oh, well.
If the fight goes ahead, who do you think is gonna win? You know that was coming. I have to say it.
Yeah, no.
Be honest. Be honest.
Well, that's the thing. I was asking some of my other people that knows more about fighting, but
Yeah, do you have some friends who like follow MMA really, really close?
kind of, yeah. And this is
Is that a video game of Jim Boss?
exactly, yeah. So this is UFC video
Why
game.
is he white?
I mean, he has the Taiwanese flag. I don't know if he's. I mean, he does look. I don't think there's Asian eyes option for. I don't know. Whatever.
That's weird. He looks really white. Okay.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know how people do this, but this is supposedly the other guy who. I don't know why they use the Chinese flag because he's not.
That's his name, Liao.
Yeah, cool. I don't know, but I don't know
Yeah,
why
cool,
they're
okay.
using the Taiwanese flag.
Yeah, why don't they use the PRC flag? That's weird.
Well, because Taiwan's taking over China. That's why.
Oh, apparently.
Yeah.
Seriously, that graphic with Chiang Kai-shek was ridiculous.
Okay, so he's 93 kilograms, which is not, but it's still a difference.
That's pretty far off, though. Like, that's a lot more than you would think.
Yeah.
They're not in the same weight class. They're definitely
Absolutely not. They might be two.
And this video game is misleading. Like, he's a lot more buffed out than that.
He's taller and bigger, I think.
Hell yeah.
Oh, no. Actually, they're the same height, but he's just bigger because he's like.
He's much bigger.
Yeah, he's much bigger. But I don't know. Whoever made this, it's basically them using Jim Boss to destroy the Chinese guy.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. He just finishes the game like in 20 seconds.
God, but can you imagine though? Do you think if they did that here, that they would make it like a pay-per-view thing? Like,
great. That would be great.
I'm not even sure how they would do that. Like, would they put it on just a normal channel? Would it be pay-per-view? Like, would it be available to international viewers or not? Like, I don't even know.
Hopefully they just stream it. I don't know.
Yeah, if they stream it, then you could just watch it online. You could do a reaction video.
Yeah, that'd be something. Yeah.
It would be something, man. You're the king of reaction videos, so
that's funny. Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely want to see that, man. I really, really do. And I want Jim Boss to win, but I don't know, man. Dan? Dan? Hello? Dan? All right, hold tight, everybody. Dan's computer's frozen and he's got to restart. So we all just got to wait. Okay. So sit tight, folks. I've lost my screen as well. Daniel is restarting. Hopefully he'll come back to us soon. All right. Not sure what happened. This happened on our last live stream as well. I think we had a short out like this. So weird. Sorry there, everybody. But yeah, this shit happens, doesn't it? Well, when Dan comes back, I'll probably tell Dan. But another thing I want to talk to him before I go is I want to talk about the only Taiwanese American candidate running in America to become president, and that will be Andrew Yang. So I'd like to hear from Andrew Yang, or hear what Dan thinks about what's going on with Andrew Yang right now. Come on, Dan. Come back to us. We're waiting. Want to talk about Jim Boss and Andrew Yang. God, man, I tell you guys, it's really, really hot right now. In Taiwan, we are in the middle of summer, and it is like 29 degrees right now. 29 degrees Celsius, which is really hot, and I'm sweating like buckets here. Really, really, really uncomfortable. Summers suck. If anybody wants to come to Taiwan, then you need to come when it's not summer. You need to come in like April, or you need to come in October, because the times in between is hotter than hell. It's really, really hotter than hell.
April. I'm back.
Hey, Dan's back. Awesome.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was gonna. Sorry, my computer froze.
Great. Okay, so I assumed that the stream carried on, so I was just kind of babbling along.
Yeah, no, I had you on my iPad, so you wanted to
okay,
talk
great.
about Andrew Yang?
I do. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so recently we had the first two Democratic debates, right? And as everybody probably already knows, the Democratic field is super crowded. There's like 1 million people running to be president, and Andrew Yang is one of them, and he's the only one who's Taiwanese American, and he's the only one running on a revolutionary platform of UBI.
Yep. So what do you think of his campaign so far?
Well, I mean, I've been pretty positive about it, just like you so far, right? I mean, I like the guy, and I know you like him a lot too.
Did you actually see his debate?
I saw pretty much all of the footage of him talking and struggling to talk.
Yeah, so if you actually watch the thing from beginning to end, you will be frustrated. If you only saw like what
do you want to just do you want to, because some people probably don't know, do you want to outline what the controversy was?
So the controversy was that Andrew Yang only had like 2 minutes of talking on air, whereas like everybody else had so much more airtime. And the controversy is that they actually turned his mic off, and a lot of his fans, a lot of his followers were telling Andrew, "Hey, you need to speak up." Like, even though even David Pakman, who we watch, he tweeted, or he said on his live stream, Andrew Yang is being too polite, and that is hurting him. And so everybody was retweeting that, and it turned out that he was trying to interject, but his mic was off and the camera didn't go to him, so nobody could see, nobody could tell.
Yeah.
Everybody just assumed that he was just standing there mute, So, it's so frustrating. Like,
and then there was that BS like segment that Stephen Colbert did.
Yeah,
where he was trying to be funny and like make a joke, and I understand, right? Like, that's the program. Like, it's supposed to be like a comedy program. I get that, but the way they presented that was ridiculous. Like, it was so unfair. It was a lie. Like, it was a total lie.
I mean, I understand you're trying to be funny, but when you're dealing with something as serious as like an election or politics, at least get the person's position right. Like basically what
Right,
happened
right.
was,
Well, so in a similar vein, like you can be funny, but just also be honest at the same time.
yeah,
Like, right? Like you don't have to lie. Like you pretend that he like just froze up and like he didn't say anything at all, but he did say things and he was trying to say things, but he couldn't.
basically what happened was he had Chris Christie on, and they talked about how Andrew Yang, like the how ridiculous UBI was, which you can think that. And but Chris Christie basically said, "Did you see, like, they asked Andrew Yang a very simple question: How are you going to pay for it?" And Andrew Yang was like, "What?" Which what happened was his earpiece wasn't working. He didn't hear the question, and he just said, "Pardon me." Like that's all. That's all that happened. And then the Stephen Colbert show basically ended there.
Right.
Thinking
They cut it off at that point to make him seem like, oh, look, he's so stupid, he has no answers. Like,
yeah, but he did answer the question, and so I don't know. It was such, I don't know. It's just so frustrating.
yeah, that was dumb, dude. That was so dumb. Like, I remember when you sent it to me, I was a little bit like, "What's this?" But like after I played it, I was like, "No, that was really stupid. Like,
Yeah,
that was not even funny.
yeah.
I didn't even laugh. Like, that wasn't funny at all."
Oh, oh, that's so painful. So painful.
Yeah, I gotta say though, like, let's say that Andrew Yang does carry on, and let's say that a few people drop out because I think a few people are gonna drop out soon. So, for example, Joe Biden is doing really bad right now, and I'm pretty
He's
sure
leading.
that dude's gonna drop out soon.
He's what? But he's leading in the polls.
He's slipping, bro. He's slipping.
Yeah, I mean,
Like he had that controversy with like the abortion comments that he made, with the thing about segregation and school busing,
yeah.
and the way that like Kamala Harris just put the smackdown on him in
By
that
the way,
debate.
when I say that he's leading in the polls, I don't believe the polls. I'm just saying, like, the mainstream media and all that is just like, oh, he's rivaling Bernie Sanders, and
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Like, but I'm telling you, like he's going down, dude. He's going down big time.
Okay.
Like he's not gonna make it. So
I hope
if Andrew Yang carries on and like a few of these people drop out and the debate's not so crowded and
maybe.
maybe he has like a better chance to speak, how
Yeah,
far can Andrew Yang go?
that's the question. That is the question.
Right? Like I don't know, man. Like so what do you think?
I am very cautious about getting my hopes up because I don't like want to get my heart broken.
Is he your favorite right now?
So like we both agree, like our top three is Bernie, Tulsi, and Andrew, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's my top three. If any one of those, and if any one of those wins and picks one of the other two as their vice president, oh,
That would be so cool.
that would just be great, honestly.
We probably lost a lot of like certain Republican viewers, but sorry guys, I'm just telling the truth. Like this is what I like,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's okay.
love me or hate me, it's true.
I don't have well, maybe I do, but I have mainly Russians, so I think
Oh, okay.
yeah, they're yeah. I've heard people accusing Tulsi of. I don't know if you heard that after her debate, even though she didn't get to speak that much either, that uh, she was the number one searched candidate on Google after the debate.
Well, that's good, man. That's a positive. Like,
Yeah.
any press is good press, right?
But and then everybody started to in the media was like, it's Russian bots, Russians are helping her, da 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 da. So
I'm
yeah, yeah,
so tired of hearing about Russia.
yeah.
Like, that's what really, okay, so I just said that, I like Bernie, but here, now let me talk shit about Democrats.
Sure.
Can you all just shut the hell up about Russia?
Uh,
Could you just please
tell
shut the
that
hell up about Russia?
tell that to Bill Maher, and then maybe
Like, just stop. Like, no one cares. No one likes that. Like, just knock it off, dude.
uh,
Bill Maher, Rachel Maddow, or any of the other idiots on MSNBC or ABC or whatever, like, just knock it off.
yeah.
No one wants to hear that. Like, Russians aren't deciding elections. Americans are deciding elections, okay? Like, you lost because you have no appeal. That's why you lost, okay? Like,
Yeah.
get over it. No, but I'm telling the truth here. I'm telling the truth.
Are
Okay,
you
like
an alt-right white supremacist misogynist?
I'm a Bernie Sanders supporting Nazi. Like,
Yeah.
right? You know how those two go together. You know,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Jewish Bernie and alt-right Nazi, right?
Yeah, that's yeah.
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 So ridiculous.
Although Bernie Sanders, I think, is pretty critical of the Israeli government. So
Is he?
yeah, he's anti
Yeah.
Netanyahu.
I didn't know if Bernie was pro or anti BDS or if he didn't say anything on it at all. Like,
Yeah, I don't
I
know
don't
about
know.
BS, but he's just not a fan of Netanyahu.
Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, he's really as far right as you get in Israel. Like, I think there's definitely there's some people in Israel who are like,
Yeah,
this guy is no good. Like,
you would hope
this
so.
guy's no good.
Yeah. 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 Well, is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I'm gonna keep my eye on Andrew Yang. I know you are too. I hope he makes it. I know he's planning on to do more debates, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, on Instagram, he said that he's gonna do more. So.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't I? First of all, what do you think of Pete Buttigieg?
Oh God, Pete Buttigieg. Jeez, I mean, we could be here all night talking about Buttigieg, right?
Yeah. But
Look, okay, I really don't like Pete Buttigieg, and yes, I'm calling him Booty Judge. Get over it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a ridiculous name, and just get over it. But the reason I don't like Pete Buttigieg has nothing to do with the fact that he's gay or that he's from South Bend or any kind of identity thing. Like, it's nothing about that. It's really, really not. The reason I don't like Buttigieg is because Buttigieg is identity politics, full stop. That's it. That's all there is. He's literally said things to the effect that I don't do policies. I just lead with my values, right? So okay, so you have no ideas, you don't want to change anything, you have no plans, you just say nice words. That's what you do. You know, you're like, I love everyone and I'm for good things and against bad things. Puppy dogs and rainbows are beautiful, right? Like,
vague words in politics is it kind of works in America. I mean, Trump, that's kind of what Trump did, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I think we're moving away from that. I think younger people are really critical and they don't like that anymore. Like, they don't go for that.
Yeah.
Right?
But younger people also vote a lot less than older people.
Sure. It's the older folks who still kind of like that stuff where they're like, yeah, red, white, and blue. God bless America.
Yeah.
God bless the troops. I support the troops.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they still go for the, what do you want to call it? Flowery words or the rhetoric, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Buttigieg. I'm so frustrated because, like, for a long time, the media was pushing him really hard.
I know.
They were in love with Buttigieg.
They helped him so much, just like they helped Trump.
Which, oh, hells yeah.
Hilarious because they bitch about Trump all the time, but they were the ones that kind of helped him, like, get so much coverage for free.
That's why. I guess they don't understand that any press is good press. If your name is out there, it's a good thing. Like, no matter what. Like.
But whatever gets good ratings, they'll do it, right?
I guess, but how does Buttigieg get ratings? He's boring.
That's probably, I don't know.
I even just saw a panel. They even did a special LGBTQ panel of people, like, asking them, Pete Buttigieg, what do you all think? And none of them were even excited. Like, all of them were like,
that was Vice.
Did you see that one?
That was Vice, yeah.
All of them, every single one of them were like, this guy? Nah. Like, this guy there's nothing there. I'm not excited at all.
Why I brought him up, I was so fucking frustrated. So he was on The View. And
Megan, that's such a bad program, by the way.
Well, yeah. And
it's a terrible program. I can't believe people watch that.
Well, Meghan McCain complimented him and said, like, oh,
she's an airhead.
Oh, don't, yeah. Well, basically she said, Oh, she basically complimented him and said like, "Oh, it's very nice to see that you went on Fox News." Da 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 da. And like, why do you think the other Democratic candidates aren't doing that? And
Yeah, but some of them actually have.
yeah, and do you know what? But okay, so that's Meghan McCain asking the question, which is fair if she didn't know, which is fair. But Pete Buttigieg said, "Yeah, I'm actually interested. It's interesting that I'm the only one that has been on Fox News, which
Okay, do you really think Pete Buttigieg doesn't know?
I don't
Do you
know.
really
Like,
think he
why
doesn't know what his rivals are doing in the election?
he? I don't know. Like,
I'm pretty sure dude has a team who's studying all the rivals.
you would think so. I don't know. So okay, if I were to give him the benefit of doubt, like maybe his campaign knows, but he personally didn't know, and he just said that,
Really
or
though?
or or
Really?
or he's just saying that because he hopes that other people don't find out, and it will make him look really good. Yeah, I'm the only person that went on Fox
But
News.
see, even if you're trying to do this, like, oh, maybe people won't find out. Pete, listen, dude, we have the internet.
The
We can
internet.
Google everything now. You can't lie anymore. It's impossible. Like
Yeah.
whatever you say, it's out there, and we can fact check it in a minute.
Yeah,
Like
it was
you
really
can't get
weird.
away with shit. Like
So I have no idea why he said that.
who knows? These older, but Buttigieg isn't even
He's the
that old.
youngest.
Like
He's the youngest one running.
I expect this from Biden, right? Biden has this meeting recently where Biden says to all these rich Wall Street banker types, right? Don't worry about me, guys. There will be no fundamental change in a Biden presidency. I won't change anything. Everything will remain the same, right?
Yeah, the whole we
And
should not demonize the rich, but yeah, go on.
yeah, that thing. But it's like, dude, how stupid are you? Like, you just literally said you have no plans for anything. You're gonna change nothing.
Yeah,
Did you think that you could get away with saying that?
yeah. Well, yeah,
We're in the age of the internet. Whatever you say is out there.
yeah.
Like everyone knows, dude. That's a controversy now. People are not going to vote for you because of that now.
By the way, so I bring up that Pete Buttigieg like saying that, oh, I'm the only one that is reaching to the other side bullshit. So he was going to go on Dave Rubin's show, and putting aside what we think about Dave Rubin, Andrew Yang went on his show and did his thing. Well,
Yeah,
okay, so I
actually,
think what
twice,
happened.
didn't he? Didn't he go on Rubens twice?
No, just once.
Oh, it was only once?
Yeah, but okay, so this is
Really?
what happened. Pete
Who was
Buttigieg,
on Rubens then? Was it one time Tulsi, one time Yang?
Tulsi has not been on. There was
She
just
hasn't. I thought she was on there.
no, just Yang so far.
Well, damn, Ruben, get Tulsi on.
So this is what happened. So Pete Buttigieg was scheduled to go on Dave Rubin's show, and Dave Rubin was like, "Hey, I'm having Pete Buttigieg on his show." No doubt, Dave Rubin is going to mention that he's gay and married, but he's not.
Of course he is. Ruben always brings up he's gay.
But anyway, putting that aside,
Have you ever seen a comedy sketch by Dave Rubin?
wait, you in the cartoons?
No, the Dave Rubin doing stand up is basically
Oh.
Dave Rubin going, "Is there any gay people in the house tonight?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Is there any lesbians in the house tonight? Are there any queers in the audience?"
I've not. No,
It's
no.
not even funny. He's just asking everybody if they're gay or not. Like,
Yeah, but anyway, so Dave Rubin said on Twitter, "Hey, I'm having Pete Buttigieg on." Do you know what happened after that?
what?
The Twitter mob was like, "Oh, Pete Buttigieg, don't go on his show. He's an alt-right Nazi. He's far right. He's a da 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 da."
Dave
And
is
then
okay. Look, I
he's
have a
Jewish,
lot
by
to
the
say
way.
about
He's
Dave
Jewish,
Rubin,
but anyway,
but Dave Rubin is not all right.
he's not.
He's not a Nazi. I mean, Dave Rubin is Jewish, for God's sake.
Yeah,
You just said it. He's Jewish.
he's a Jew. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm sorry, but he is though. He's a Jew.
Yeah. But anyway, so and then Pete Buttigieg was like, I guess his campaign was like, "Oh, this is not polling well in Twitter." So then he backed out of the interview.
Well, see,
And
that's
so, and this is
no.
the
I don't
guy.
agree with that. I don't agree. I don't even like Dave Rubin, but he
This
should
is
have gone on
the
Dave
guy.
Rubin's show.
This is the guy who said, "I'm the only one reaching to the other side."
But
And
he's not reaching to the
then
other
you
side.
back out of the interview when your own side tells you not to. And then what happens a couple weeks later? Andrew Yang goes on Dave Rubin's show. And so what's going on now is he said on Dave Rubin said on Twitter, "Oh, I just booked another 2020 candidate, but I'm not going to say who it is." So
Do you think it's Tulsi?
I think it could be. I think it could be. I
I
feel
hope
like
so.
I hope so. I hope so.
Tulsi needs more press, man. Like Tulsi doesn't get much press.
Yeah.
She's kind of been blackballed.
Yeah. She's friends with Assad and she's anti-gay.
Apparently,
And
yeah. She. You know her. She's so pro Assad.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like she's just walking around every day. She's like, yeah, go
I think
Assad, go Maduro, woo.
I think all that happened was she had dinner with Assad, right? She took a dinner meeting.
She spoke to the man. Do you know why? Because that's how you do diplomacy. You talk to people who are not your friends. You talk to people who are your enemies.
And if you don't talk, you're just shooting missiles. If you're not going to talk,
Well, yeah, if you don't talk at all, you're shooting missiles.
you're
And if
shooting?
you only talk to your friends, well, then you're just shooting the shit with your buddies. Like, that's not diplomacy. Like,
Yeah.
me and you sharing a beer is not diplomacy. That's
Yeah.
just friends. Like, that's not how it works. Like, diplomacy is when you talk to an enemy, when you talk to a rival, right? That's the point.
Yeah.
You know, like these criticisms are so dumb, dude. Like they act like she's like a leader in Hezbollah or something. Like it's
Wait,
absurd. Like
where's Hezbollah again?
Hezbollah is the Shiite backed militia in Lebanon, right? Which has also been fighting on the side of Assad against like Al Qaeda and Al Nusra and the Islamic State and all them.
They're they're with Assad?
They're on Assad's side. Assad is an Alawite. He's an Alawite Muslim, right?
Okay.
And Hezbollah is Shia, and they have links to Iran, right? It's complicated. It's a big, complicated mess, but they get along pretty well, right? Like Assad is friends with Iran, and he's also friends with Russia, right?
Yeah.
Which is links in back in, right? Tulsi's a Russian.
Right. No, that's another thing. She's a Russian agent.
Oh yeah, no, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Every day she's having phone calls with Putin. She's like, "Hey, Pooty Poot, how you doing?"
Jeez.
Like,
Oh,
God.
But anyway, we've been talking for like 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway, that's Brian and Dan's take on the elections.
Yeah.
So there you go, everybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, any last words before we wrap up?
Yeah, I will tell everybody that we're going to keep our eye on the politics and that everybody should check out that series of films that Dan suggested earlier from the Netflix. Do you want to say the title one more time?
There's one called, there's a bundle of independent films under the bracket name On Children. If you just search that up on Netflix, I personally think the first one is the best one, but
right, that's Mother's Remote, right?
Yeah, and the second one is really creepy, and then the other ones are all right, I guess. You can check.
Are they all kind of like dystopian kind of things like that?
Kind of, yeah.
Like really creepy, like 1984.
Ish. Some don't necessarily have to do with technology. Some is just talking about like the dark culture that is in Taiwan. Like
okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, yeah, we'll keep an eye on the politics, and everybody, please check that out. And also, I just let me sprinkle in one more thing.
Yeah.
If you remember back when we did our podcast on the movies, that I brought up that there was this one Taiwanese animated movie, which was the first one in a very long time. I actually managed to catch the last 3/4 of that movie on TV the other day, and it was really good.
Yeah. What was it called?
Really, really. It's called, in English, it's On Happiness Road.
Okay. Yeah.
So in Mandarin, it's Xing Fu Lu.
Yeah.
Right. So you should check it out, man. I think you could get it on Netflix.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty you can. Yeah. Right.
Let's see.
See if you can. See if you can get that.
They don't always have everything. Happiness Road.
Yeah, On Happiness Road or Happiness Road. If you can watch it, man, I definitely recommend, because like I said, I just saw it on TV the other night with my wife, and I thought it was really, really great. My wife liked it a lot, actually, too.
Yeah.
She laughed at like a bunch of different things, and I could tell because the movie kind of reminded me of Forrest Gump, because it takes the main character and it takes the little girl through several periods of history,
Hmm.
right? And there's these moments that are sprinkled into her life
Yeah.
that are actual like historical moments, right? Like the ending of martial law and the election and the big earthquake, and there's all these little moments that are sprinkled in.
Hmm.
And when we were watching it, like those things would come up, and I could tell from just seeing my wife's face and the way she was responding that like she in her head she's like, oh, I remember that, oh, I remember that, and
Hmm.
oh gosh, that was so funny, I remember when we used to watch that, and
Yeah.
oh, I remember when my grandma used to do that. And
Yeah.
so it really struck a chord with her. Like it got her in the feels, you
Yeah.
know, hit her right there in the feels.
Yeah. It's not on Netflix, but maybe one day I might be able to.
Maybe you can download it.
Yeah, maybe. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, search it on the Mandarin title. Like, don't do the English,
Oh,
because
yeah, yeah,
you probably have like a much worse chance of finding it if you just try to do the English.
yeah, yeah. I'll
So
give it a shot.
I recommend everybody, you should all check out the Taiwanese animated film On Happiness Road,
Yeah.
because it's good.
All right. All righty.
All right, everybody.
Well, we'll tune in next time, and next time we will be on Brian's channel, American in Taiwan, and I'll link his channel down below. And we'll see you there next time for episode 7.
Indeed.
All right.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.